All right, let's add a Mindbody enrollments widget to your Squarespace website. So again, you're going to need two tabs open to accomplish this, your Mindbody branded web account at brandedweb.mindbodyonline.com and your Squarespace website. So let's start in your Squarespace website. We're going to create the page that your enrollments widget is going to go on. So in your main navigation, let me start back out here. So website, pages, and then in your main navigation, or if you want to put in not linked, if you're not ready to go live with it, that's fine too. We're going to hit the plus sign and we're going to add a blank page. We're going to call this workshops. You can name it whatever you'd like to name it. Okay. And then click edit into the page, and you could add a section for the banner or some intro text or whatever else that you want. But in this case, I'm just going to add a section and add a blank section, and we'll just get it ready just to add that new widget. So we're now going to add a block, and we're going to choose a code block. So if you scroll down, this code block option right there. So you see our little hello world placeholder text, and it puts a little block in the corner. Let's get it ready though, because we want this full widget to take up most of the page. It's the main item in this page. So we're going to stretch that code block so that it covers the full left to right of the page. And then I'm going to click edit into that code block, and I'm just going to get rid of that hello world text, which is placeholder. And so now we have an empty code block on our page going full width. It's going to be big, beautiful, and that's the spot where our enrollments widget is going to go. So now we have to get the code that's going to go in this code block. So we head back to our Mindbody branded web account. We're on the main screen that's widgets. We'll go down to create new widget, and we're going to choose an enrollment widget. So then the first thing I would do as that's loading is name this enrollments widget so that your branded web account doesn't get super sloppy. So if you click edit in the top right there, we'll just name this Workshops 2025. Name it whatever makes sense. Okay. So now we have some enrollments. This is all, again, pulling information right from your Mindbody account. The thumbnail image is something that you would update in your Mindbody account. The name, the instructor, the date, all of that stuff is in there. So you can choose on the left, your widget settings. You can choose whether you want it detailed like that. Summary is going to list it like that. If you don't want the pictures, you don't want a whole lot, say you have a lot of enrollments, maybe the summary would be best. And then the narrow mobile is just going to give you kind of the original styling, but without all the default stuff. So in this case, we're going to keep the detailed option on. You can also change the text that's on the button. So it's sign up right there, but say we wanted it to be register. We can change that text, and I'll change that on all of them. And then base styling, you do have options. So this is the modern styling. I recommend leaving it on that. That does look the best. But if you, for some reason, like the old school, that looks really old styling, you can adjust that there. But we're going to keep that on the modern styling. One of the nice things about this enrollment widget, it did not get the 2024 upgrades that some of the other widgets did. So you are still allowed to put custom CSS in. Your website developer or designer can maybe add some things if you want to make this look a little bit different. Not necessary at all, but that is just an option for there. So if you are talking to your web designer or developer, the enrollments widget is one of the only widgets remaining that you can add custom CSS to. Otherwise, these are the built-in style options that we have. We can change the colors for any of the things here. The button background, that's the easiest one to see. So say our brand color, just find a brand color here. Let's say our brand color is this bright blue. So you have your hex code. I'm going to use 1938D3 for that. But say you have your brand colors from your brand designer and you want to fine tune, you don't want this button to be black. So you can go down to button background and hashtag whatever your 6-digit hex code colors are. So now that changed all my buttons to bright blue. And so you could change any of the text, the names. Say I wanted the name to be like a dark blackish. Now that changed those. That looks a little cleaner right there. So you can fine tune, override any of the colors that are already in this widget. So that's pretty nice. And then if we click content, you can select enrollment content. So this is going to let you filter out if you only want certain events or certain enrollments showing on this particular schedule. So you can have all service categories, which is what it is right now, or you can go only the following. So we only have one here, so that's not really applicable, but say you had different service categories, you could get some of them off the schedule and include some of them on. And then class types, you can do the same thing, only the following. So you can say, I only want, boot camp, and then it's going to remove all the other ones, but we'll keep it at all class types. Same thing, instructors. So if you had one instructor that was teaching some of these classes and they wanted their own, maybe it's on their bio page or something, their own schedule of things that they were only instructing, you could create a widget just for them with their instructions. And then location, if you have more than locations, then you'll be able to filter to one of them. If you don't have more than one locations, you won't see that option. So that's how you can choose what shows and what doesn't show on this particular schedule. This is another real handy option, the time frame for it. So most studios don't have a whole lot of workshops happening in the future months. So most of them, I would say, change this to like 6 months or 12 months, or just give a little bigger look into the future. If they have like 1 or 2 workshops a month, you want to be able to show them all at a glance. So you can select the time frame there. You can also set it at a start date. So say I'm building this in the summer and I don't have any workshops in the summer, the first one starting in September, I can set this to start in September so that it's more right in front of them when they see it. And the dates don't go back to times I don't have it. All right, you can also decide columns to display here. So let's click on some of these other ones. You can see it adds more information to the details for each one. So I can fine tune that as well. The filters, these are the filters up at the top. So we're showing a class description filter and an instructor one. If we wanted to also filter by, say, location, it'll add a third location filter there. Just know that you can add all these in there if it makes sense. If you have a lot of enrollments, that might make sense to do. It also pushes your important information down the screen. So if these aren't super helpful, then, maybe you want to remove some of them. Locations is usually a good one if you have more than one location though. Okay, so now we are ready to deploy it. So we're going to click Save and Deploy. And then there's our code for our enrollments widget. So we're going to copy that code. You can also copy it this way. That works as well too. And you only need to do this one time. So with all the settings that you just did on that widget, it'll update automatically on this page of your Squarespace website. So we're going to go back to our Squarespace website. We have that code block waiting for us. We're just going to click on that and we're going to paste in that code. It's going to not show up right away because we're in editing mode, but when we hit save and exit, it'll refresh and it'll show our widget for us. There it is. If you've got more questions about these Mindbody widgets, about installing them, troubleshooting them, stay tuned because there's more videos coming and we're going to go even deeper into Mindbody and Squarespace website integrations.